I would blast us with some tunes this morning. How are you? How are all of you doing? Yes, summer is truly here now, isn't it? Yeah. Good morning. I want to talk to you about the planetary trends coming up for this week, and I want to talk to you about the new moon solar eclipse, okay, on Thursday, okay, and how we can utilize this. It's in Gemini, so if you remember, we had an eclipse on May 26th. We had a full moon eclipse in Sagittarius, so now we're going to reap the benefits of the new moon eclipse on the 10th. And I think the 10th is Thursday. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it is. So, but yeah, so I want to talk about that first. So, Mercury is still in retrograde. Okay, we're living through it. We can do it. You know, we want to be mindful of, you know, communication and short distance travel and flat tires and unexpected Mercury retrograde mischief, so we want to be mindful of that. It's going to be over on the 22nd. These aren't anything to be terrified of. You know, they just add a little bit more, or they can add a little bit more aggravation to, you know, whatever you're trying to get done. Like running errands can be a real pain in the ass, right? So, but other than that, you know, there are some benefits to Mercury retrograde. And for, you know, you Geminis out there, that's your ruling planet. So it either glows for you or it's aggravating. And it can change from retrograde to retrograde. So, but it's pretty much, the good things that can come out of it is people from your past can surface, and you know, it can be a pleasant experience, or if there's been any like weird tense truces or strange you know, communication or whatever, it can actually be healed. But we also have to be mindful of when we're we also have to be mindful of when we're like you know, trying to communicate. I had an experience last week where I was speaking to someone, and I just stopped for a second, and I said, listen, I'm saying something, and I can see that it's not registering with you. And I didn't say it in a condescending manner, but it's like either their mind was wound too tight with their, you know, fears and frustrations or whatever. But, you know, it's like, say somebody asks you something and you start to guide them through your perception or, you know, put in, you know, your input, and they are hearing something completely different than what you're saying. So, and you know, you'll notice a little bit more of like a road rage energy. It can get like that. It's not worth it. You guys just don't, you know, and it's kind of funny in a way if you stay calm. You know, someone goes speeding by you and cut you off, and you know, right? And here we are sitting next to each other at the stoplight. It's like, you don't, you know. So, but it'll be over on the 22nd, and so of this month of June. So we don't have too much longer. Usually about midway in, everybody adjusts to it, and then when it goes out, it can be just as. So watch for, like, on the 22nd, you know, those are times where, you know, as it's going direct, we can see, like, you know, 5-car pileups or, you know, things with travel, and, you know, we just want to be mindful, you know, that's all. If we're aware and we stay aware, you know, we have more protection, you know, and we're thinking a little clearer. Anyway, so I slept in this morning like, gosh, it felt good. I didn't feel groggy. I had a good day yesterday. I've had a good weekend so far. And it's some positive energy flowing through, and we forget how, maybe even hanging out with somebody, or making those connections, how that energy can feed us, and provide us with those parts that we crave, so so I was good to go this morning. So I want to talk about this new moon eclipse in Gemini. Now, how can we benefit from this, right? So when the moon is waning, right, from a full moon, right, it's a great time to get rid of things. And whether it's physically, spiritually, emotionally, the waning moon will complement your release of things, old wounds. Sometimes stuff gets stuck behind your rib cage and you didn't even realize it was sitting there because it's so old, But so those are some intentions we can put into the new moon. Our ability to release wounds. If you have weight you want to, remove from your orbit. Waning moons are a good time to explore those options, and, maybe extend an olive branch. If it's not received, then you know that there isn't anything worth worrying about. You can check it off your list, right? So, but yeah, so sometimes we'll get this like really crazy nesting mode when the moon is dark. I kind of felt it yesterday a little bit. I smudged my house yesterday. Sometimes my house can be like the shoemaker's kids that never have shoes. I remember. Sorry about that. Someone was calling me. Realize that they do know exactly what I'm doing right now. Anyway, so new moons can help you remove those, the garbage. But so yesterday I was smudging my house, and I usually start on the main floor, and then I go to the basement, and then I go upstairs. It doesn't really matter. I have a couple more homes that I have to get to yet this week before Thursday. So I want to talk about why activity like that comes into play, and or give you some options or ideas why they do. But as I'm going through, all of a sudden I'm looking around, and it just seems like there's just so much crap in here, right? So you may be experiencing some of that as well. You may be experiencing, an observation of old stuff, or getting rid of clothes for, a charitable cause, or dishes, or whatever. You may be feeling like the walls are coming in on you a little bit. And don't get frustrated about it. Fire that energy up and do something with it, And then on Friday, Mars, the, planet of passion and masculinity and all that good stuff, Mars is moving into Leo. So, that's a total red carpet event. And anytime planets go into Leo, it's like, straighten your tie, look your best, because Leo will complement that. And if you've been lacking, like any type of energy, or maybe you've been feeling a little bit more like you wanted to, kind of hunker down, like, with your social setting or your social scene and that kind of thing. I really can't believe how annoying that person is being right now, so I apologize. Mars is going to be Mars is going to activate all this extra energy and sensuality and things of that nature. So it's going to be a good thing. And that will remain there, I have to look, all the way through July 29th. It's going to be there. So, excuse me. The eclipse on Thursday complements partnerships, complements romantic or business partnerships. With Gemini, will emphasize that that energetic resource. So if that's your heart's desire, you're going to have planetary support. Plus, Mars moving into Leo, that's going to be a little bit more, like the fame, fun, and flirtation vibration, just kind of, and after this past year and all the other ridiculous, things that we honored, right? And I don't mean ridiculous in a political way. I just mean people are over it now. They're tired of being fearful. They're tired of being, angry or pressured or whatever the case may be. So, now these planetary trends are going to create a lift in how we're perceiving. Mercury retrograde or not, okay, they're going to. So, expect to feel a little bit more playful and productive, right? And, just embrace it. So, okay. So, I want to, I've kind of touched on this in other areas and other videos that I've done, all right? But I want to talk about activity in homes, how does it get there? What our perceptions may be of that, and what the reality of that can be, if you take inventory. So I worked on one this past few days. It was really thick with, I refer to it as incarnate garbage. So mischievous, vibrations, maybe, I hate to use the term spiritual, but it's the only way I can describe it. Things that we don't, normally like to have inhabiting our humble abode, right? And there's perceptions of this, that, oh, okay, somebody must have died in the house, and that's why there's activity. Or, even more interesting, this is a brand new home, right? How can there be anything in here? We've custom built this home, right? And things are moving around and blah, blah, blah. All right, so I'll do my best to kind of give you some, valuable information that, would kind of explain some of the things that sometimes aren't, they're unexplainable. So, for one, nobody has to die in a home for there to be activity, all right? Depending on the way they transcended, okay, there's a slight chance of, if there was a murder-suicide, the chances of there being incarnate residue are very, very high, okay, but not necessarily, right? So from what I understand, nobody died in this house, okay? But there's activity, my dogs are acting up, or my little girl is seeing things in her room and that's scaring her. Anything that we can't explain is going to create fear, because it's like in the real world, you're not supposed to be here, right? But or maybe we've lived somewhere 10 years and we've never had any problems, and all of a sudden things are getting wonky, right? Okay. Where do we start? Incarnate energy, mischievous spiritual crackpots, right? Are attracted to those who are not keeping their solar plex, their spirit, their soul in place, all right? You probably, if you have any kind of experience with a family member that, has is demonstrating alcohol abuse, or if you have a friend or a neighbor or whatever that's demonstrating, drug abuse, right? Those are prime candidates. So let's take a look at what the perception would be of excuse me. So let's pretend we're an incarnate spirit. For whatever reason, we didn't transcend. We're kind of stuck on this plane, right? We're in this realm of we haven't met our destination yet, or we haven't released ourselves. So we didn't find the portal, whatever. Okay, so and that can vary from time frame to time frame. That may only happen for 3 months. It could happen for 3 years. It's as unique as the spirit themselves. All right, so there isn't any one-size-fits-all answer for that. But let's say that's something. Let's say that was us, right? So if we could, if we're observing mortals, right, but we can't participate. So, wrap your brain around this. I know I ramble. So if you have any questions afterwards, put them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. All right. So if we, excuse me, let's say we're a trapped energy, all right, upon our death. So, and here we are, we're observing mortals, petting a puppy, kissing a baby, having a turkey dinner, or a great glass of Merlot, or your favorite ham sandwich, or all of the other, opportunities that our soul cage provides us as we walk through this journey in our meat suits, right? So you're able to observe that, but you're not able to participate. And now you have found a target, okay? So you latch onto an alcoholic or a drug addict or even a sex addict or, whatever. Those that have moved their spiritual self out of the way, out of the equation, in order to seek comfort in something that isn't good for us, all right? So, I'm trying to keep on track here, and you guys are so patient with me. So, and this is all right, we go to a wedding and we're having a great time, we're having champagne, and we're out on the dance floor, and so, when we participate in substance use, I didn't want to say abuse, I said use. When we participate in that, we're like opening the door here to like our soul. Like we're opening the big door. Like imagine it's a nice summer day, a beautiful breeze coming in. You got the screen door locked, right? But you've opened the door. So there is no concerns with that action. You can enjoy wine, you can enjoy any number of things, you know, within reason. Because your screen door is shut, okay, and it's locked, and that protects the bugs from getting in, right? That's why we have a screen door. We want the breeze, you know, we want the comfort of that. We want to enjoy the sounds of nature outside, but we got the screen door so that a squirrel doesn't run in, or a bird doesn't fly in, or mosquitoes and flies aren't getting in. So we can make this comparison to like incarnate energies, right? But, you know, if we're making a habit of this with some of these substances, right, then after a while, the screen door, it sort of gets stormy, right, there. And the screen door, you know, starts kind of getting beat up, and it starts tearing, and then it's kind of banging, like, you know, when you're driving by and you see somebody's storm door, like, flapping around because there's a rainstorm, and it's like it's just getting the crap beat out of it, right? That's what happens when we demonstrate, you know, ritual abuse. And I'm talking abuse, not a beer after you mow the lawn. I'm not talking about that stuff. Not a, you know, sitting down and smoking a bowl before you go to bed. No, those don't apply. In fact, I have observed, at least with marijuana anyways, that almost has a little protection mechanism to it, within reason. All right, but I'm not suggesting anybody take that up for, you know, or the edibles, the gummy bears and that. I'm not selling anything here. I'm just giving you some options and some food for thought, right? So these trapped spiritual incarnate garbage, I'm trying to find a polite word for them, but I guess I can't, you know. They will integrate, and they will move you right out of the way, because your spirit, your soul, your gut, you know, they'll move you right out of the way and jump in, because now you've let that storm door, you've just let it beat to shit. And they will utilize your physical body for the things that they can't, you know, activate without one, right? I hope you guys are following this. So, because you know me and my euphemisms and my stuff, right? So, and if you think about it, and a physician will call this a blackout. They were blackout drunk. Oh, you know, that's science, and we have to have some kind of medical term for it, terminology, right? But I know that it's an incarnate invasion, right? And we shouldn't be sharing our you know, our bodies with these types of energetic garbage, right? I mean, that's not what we're meant to do. And for those of you who have a loved one, or you're aware of somebody that, and you've had an experience with them where, you know, everything was good, and all of a sudden you look, and that person, it's like shark eyes. They're not there anymore. And your gut knows this, but as a human, it's hard to figure it out. You're like, everybody was having a great time, and all of a sudden, you know, somebody went cowboy buck wild, right, over absolutely nothing, right? Lost their, you know, started kicking and screaming and carrying on, or went into, you know, a shell or to a dark place, and many times there are circumstances like that, you know, lead people into dangerous situations, like, you know, self-harm, right? I've always kind of wondered if maybe the incarnate is not trying to hitch a piggyback ride to the portal with, you know, encouraging folks that have been harming themselves in this fashion to hurt themselves, all right? So there's so much stuff, you know, and I could talk about it all day, but so if you're, so maybe the house you bought, the person before you, maybe they had a problem like this, and so, you know, every time they wander down to the tavern or wander over to score whatever they score, and you know, they're collecting these little, like, you know, remember in Charlie Brown, you know, Pigpen has that little, you know, cloud around him, right? That, you know, that's kind of what it looks like, all right? But it's odorless, colorless, and tasteless, so it's not like, and not visibly available to the naked eye. So, you know, our logical mind wants to, you know, make some kind of logic out of it. And so therefore, you know, this stuff starts to collect in your space, okay? So that's one way, right, that you can, and this isn't anything, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just giving you examples of you know, why things start moving or disappearing, or you know, you're seeing shadows or whatever. And these are ideas, and usually the person that's listening is like, yeah, I know how that happened. I know who that was. They usually, you know, can connect somehow. So, and they need to go, you know. I don't do any house cleansings on waxing moons. I don't use sage and my negativity repellent spray and my salt and all the things that I do in my own home. I don't do that on a waxing moon, you know, on a moon that's becoming full. That's what that means. Because that can just create more chaos in your house. So understanding that these things need to be done like a few days after the full moon, the farther away from the full moon, the better. And, you know, these energies need to be removed on a waning moon, okay? So, coming up on that, we've got that on Thursday. So if that's something that you want to, sometimes people are just, you know, it's grown so big because somebody's son was living in the basement who had a drug problem and he just brought in all, you know, sometimes they've just grown too big for the person to handle, and that's where I come in. So, because that stuff doesn't scare me. The living can be scary. That stuff, not so much. For me, anyway. And then I went to address, like, there's a subdivision in Boone County. I'm not going to say where, all right? It's off of a creek, though. I can give you that much. I've been to that subdivision 6 times. These are all new construction, beautiful homes, right? McMansions, right? And so, you know, I get the address and I start heading over there, and all of a sudden I'm like, what the heck? I've been here. I was just here last month. So then when I get there, because I'm very discreet about who I work with, I don't talk about, you know, I don't talk about my clients and their personal stuff. That's not cool. I have a spiritual HIPAA law. So, but, you know, but then I get there and I'm like, so, you know, I'm thinking, I was just to a house 2 doors down, right? So it's like, this must have been a referral. So then I ask, how did you hear about me? Oh, well, I looked up your website, or my cousin gave me your number. I'm like, oh, do they live in the neighborhood too? And no, they're somewhere else, you know. So the 6 times I've been into this one subdivision, none of them were referrals to one another, right? I mean, nobody knew. And their big confusion and head scratching moment for them is, this is a brand new home. Why is this happening here, right? And it's the land. So there's an energetic force in the land, and maybe I always feel like it's almost like layers or levels of consciousness where they're kind of colliding, like a strange vortex in some way, shape, or form. So, that's the best explanation I have for activity in a brand new custom built home. It doesn't mean it's not questo verde. There aren't graves underneath, or things gonna crawl out of caskets or anything. But that's how the activity originates. They don't have anybody has a problem with drugs or alcohol. They don't have that going on. But it can also be a little scary because we don't want to have that kind of energy, like in our house, around our pets, around us. The more it builds a momentum off of the living energy, which would be us, the more chances there are that there could be, like, lung infections, health issues, not good for the pets. And that's our home. We need to inhabit. This is our space. We need to inhabit it, and we don't need to be sharing it with bed bugs and spiritual critters, right? It's not it. So we need to claim our space. So if you have any questions about that, you can throw them down in the comments, and I promise you I will answer them when I get to them. There's another thing. Is your pet having accidents? Right? They don't. I had a 17-year-old Boston Terrier who passed away a few years ago, and he was on Lasix he had congenital heart failure, and he was always having accidents right by the back door. No big deal. Tile, mop it up, right? That's different. He'd get to the back door, but then he'd never bark or ring the bell to let us know we're supposed to, because medicine made him, have accidents sometimes. It wasn't all the time, but if your pet is pretty well balanced and house trained and that kind of a thing, and they didn't have an incident with like stomach flu or something, and they start having accidents, in your home, that's their only way. It's not like they can take their little paw and a little lighter and fire up a smudge stick and go around and say little incantations, right? They can't. That's their only way of trying to repel the energy that, creates the uneasiness for them. So, before you get too pissed off at them, let's take that could be part of the equation. Let's take that into consideration. I know, personally, when I haven't been, consistent with, I have people, I do bereavement sessions, communication with the dead. Sometimes, there's suicides or there's unexpected car accidents or whatever the case may be. So my home is already kind of a vessel for energy coming and going. And if I haven't been, consistent with cleansing my own space, Andante will have an accident. And what's so interesting about it is she will have an accident in the corner of this rug, which is directly right of where the client sits. So, and I've talked to you about this before, and if you've missed this, then here's something else. We learn something new every day, like NPR, right? We send energy with our right hand, okay, and with our right side, I should say, and we receive information, data, and energy from our left side. So, I mean, it's almost like it's a no-brainer, right? It's where they sit, what they're sending off, that's what Andante is trying to repel. So I have to be fair, because she gets very upset if she does that. I mean, she doesn't just go, whatever, you know. So I have to be mindful for her and her little sister and our 21-year-old Mingya kitty. I have to be mindful for them that they feel like they can claim their space, and mommy's taking care of it, and I don't mean to be, you know, letting energy come in and out that's making them uncomfortable. So, all right. Common question with that is, if I do this, okay, does that mean my loved ones on the other side can't check in on me? No, totally different thing. Our loved ones on the other side are with our Creator, and they've made this connection, right? An action, I guess I was searching for the right word. I'm still with word retrieval, since this whole thing blew up, is kind of a challenge. But I started thinking maybe I'm losing my marbles, but my 12-year-old granddaughter tells me that she's experiencing it as well. So I guess it's kind of happening in all age brackets. However, I digress. Our loved ones on the other side can visit us, right? They can check in with us. They can do energy work with us. They can visit us in our dreams. They can protect us. That's an entirely different frequency. They're coming from a place of light, right? And they are connected with, you know, that energetic resource. So they aren't restricted to, you know, by these actions using sage, or, you know, some people use, I can't even think of the name of it, but, you know, whatever your resource is, it doesn't deter them from coming in and checking on you. Totally different frequency altogether. So, so I think I covered everything. A lot of times I find houses where there's a lot of, you know, maybe clutter and a lot of, you know, kind of demonstrating some hoarder tendencies, or you're dragging in pieces of antique furniture from here, from there, and you haven't, you know, bothered to smudge it before you brought in, and, you know, it's not always about drugs and alcohol. Like, things can stick, spiritual energies can stick to items, and, you know, but, you know, people that kind of demonstrate this weird hoarding, or that kind of, they're not cleaning up, you know, clearing a path, you can start to experience the same, or you will draw to you the same, you know, incarnate garbage that we don't want. We don't want this in our home, you know, it's not good for us. So, yeah, so I mean, that's what I had to talk about today. I'm looking forward to the new moon. A lot of times, and it's, you know, the solar eclipse, so that makes it even more magical and powerful. But sometimes you might feel a little sleepy with the new moon. You know, you might feel like, geez, I can't, I'm so tired. That's okay. That's okay. Do what your body and your heart and your mind requests of you during a new moon. If your energy is asking you to take a nap, take a nap. Don't guilt yourself. You know, you can get whatever it is done the next day or whenever, right? So don't beat yourself up. Sometimes for me, it's the opposite. So like the full moon will make me really sleepy, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna nap. And the new moon will make me real busy. I can't explain it, but I'm a weirdo anyway. So, all right. So I wanted to touch base with you guys and, you know, give you a little shot in the arm and remind you to, as you integrate into your communities and back into the things we know and love, you know, let's be mindful here, all right? I've seen the most of anything. I've seen the frustration, the misdirected anger, there was a poor woman in the parking lot of Walgreens last night. I just ran in for an errand, came out, and, she was battling with her. He looked like he was 4, and he was screaming at her, and she was screaming at him, and, I don't know what led up to that, so I'm not making a judgment call, but, all of this, what we've been exposed to has created a lot of challenges here, almost like post-traumatic stress syndrome. So we want to do everything we can as we move forward to stay well up here, stay well. Obviously, we want to stay well here, take your D3. The best resource for that is natural. The sun is good for you. Get out with nature daily. Check in. Find your little spot and let the Mother Earth recharge your mind, body, and spirit batteries. Allow that to happen. Make time for that. All right? So that's all I had to say. Hope you guys are well. Embrace this new moon energy. Let it work. Make it work for you. Why not? Right? So, okay. I'm going to sign out. I have no idea how long I rambled, and the clock is too far away for me to see. So, with that said, all right, until next week at 11:11, right? Mind, body, spirit. Love to you guys, and I'll see you next week. All right, enjoy.